Hello everybody, how are you today? It is Sharon here with another live DIY with Essential Stencil on their page, and yes, I've just started my project already, but I wanted to kind of get a little bit ahead. So if you're watching the replay, let me know you're watching the replay. But if you're here live, let me know where you're watching from, and I will be checking my comments every now and then down here on my laptop. But I'm just painting this beautiful board, and I think it's 12 by 12. Yes, it's around about 12 by 12 size. And I like to paint around the edges as well. And I'm just using Fusion's raw silk. So let me just check our live here on the side, because I can't see my camera on the phone because we've had to flip it around so that you could see the words straight. So let me have a look here. Let me know where you're watching from. It says we're here live. And we've got all our links there in the pinned comment right there. Essential Stencil is on the ball. And so hello Kelly, hi Brenda, hi Dominica. And Linda's here from West Virginia. I am very cold today. It's a cold wintry morning right here in Queensland, Australia. But I'm so glad to be with you all here today, and let me just see how I can better display this so that I can see comments coming up. There we go. All right. Don't have anything in the way. I'm working on a couple of projects today I wanted to show you. So we're using some things from the latest bundles. Let us know, did you get your bundle already yet today or this week? Let us know. I'll just be painting my board here, and I'm using Fusion Mineral Paints Raw Silk. It's a nice off-white colour, really popular for painting furniture pieces and home decor. It's just got quite a little bit of a creamy texture on it. And sometimes I like to stain my boards and sometimes I like to paint them. So we're painting this one today. And you might see some stencils. I don't know how much you can see on my table. Can you see? Oh, yep, you can see a little. Oh, who can guess what this is right here? You can see just a wheel of something. Let's see if you can guess. Oh, I've got a little tiny insect has just landed on my white paint. I'll see if it flies away. See if you can guess in the comments what stencil I've got over here on the side. Can you see the other one? Oh, no, you can't see the other one. It's just here. Maybe I'll creep that in a little bit, see if we can tell. Oh gosh, I don't know if you can see this little insect. If I touch it, it's going to smush all into the... It looks like a little tiny... It's not a mosquito. Run away, little guy. Karen, yours haven't shipped yet. Hello, Kimberly. Thanks for saying hello. Good evening, everybody. And yes, please do share our live, sprinkle out the love there in Facebook land so that others know that we're live right now. We are live every single weeknight here on the Essential Stencil page with a different ambassador, Monday through Friday. And so you can catch one of us live at 7 p.m. CST, whatever that is in your time zone. Dorothy, thank you. You sprinkled it to your world. Thank you so much. We'll see if anyone jumps in. If you're brand new to stenciling and someone's invited you, maybe they've sent you a message to say, hey, you need to go watch these stencil lives. Welcome to the world of fun stenciling. We don't just teach stenciling though. We've got transfers. We also give you tips and hints for maybe painting the back of your signboards, painting furniture. As you can see, I will sometimes just talk about what I'm doing and the way I'm doing it. So with my painting method, I don't go off the ends here. I start before I get to the end and just do a nice long stroke. And we have to work quickly with our furniture paints because they dry fairly quickly. And I go off the end like that, trying not to flick. I'm just laying the paint on and not pushing my brush down too hard. Holding the brush at about a 45-degree angle. That's how I usually like to paint my boards with the best idea of no brush strokes. This little guy is still crawling along. It's not making any footprints, so that's a good thing. Maybe it's going to, I can't even shoo it away. It's this tiny little It looks like a mosquito, but it's much smaller. Maybe it's a little midgy, I don't know. But that's our first board starting to paint. Did anyone guess what we've got going on over here? See if I can pull it in any. It's from the new set of stencils. Cheryl, no furniture painting there. Thank you, Dominica. Thanks for sharing. If I pull it in a little bit further, maybe you'll see. And you'll see the colours of paint I might have chosen here to have a bit of a hint. Now, I've got a plastic bag that I can put my brush in. Oh, yeah. Let's see. It's because we do want to go over it with a second coat, so I just like to pop my brush into a little bit of plastic wrap or a bag so that my brush doesn't dry out while I'm going on with my next thing. But it could be a gnat, Mary. It could be. It's right here on the end. But if my paint dries, I'll be able to kind of shoo it away. But I didn't want to smoosh it all into the paintwork, you know. So yeah, we'll let that just dry a little bit while we do something with our next project that we're working on, and I'll just see if he goes away. Oh, nope, the paint's still a little wet. Now I think I've stuck it there. Oh my gosh. Yep, I got it. Okay, gone. Problem solved. The other project I wanted to do today is using this board. I haven't shown you what we're stenciling yet. And I've got a frame. Now the frame had a canvas on it with all these staple marks in the back here that we've pulled the staples of the canvas out, and I threw the canvas away. So a lot of times in thrift stores, we call them op shops here in Australia, I'll find some kind of a frame that is solid wood and really good quality. It might be a bit rustic though. So this one has got some rough marks in it, some dings out of it. So it's kind of gives it that rustic feel. But I like to take those off. Now that's just raw wood, so we're going to create a bit of a wash here using a little bit of water and Fusion's colour Woodwick, which is a nice darkish brown colour. I will bring the camera down a little bit slightly so we can sort of see a little bit more of what we're working on here. Hopefully, I did try and loosen off my paint jars, but I did that last night, so a little bit tight this morning. Oh, that camera angle is funny. Okay, so you can save 10% if you use my code iRestoreSoft. Now that's given you a hint of what we'll be working on today. One of the things, that little turtle. Now what I have done also is instead of canvas, you could get some canvas. I guess it might come in rolls that you could put it on the back of a board. But also we just use this MDF. It's quite thin MDF, and I just got my husband to cut several of those for the different frames that I've got from the different thrift stores. And then you can nail it or staple it with a staple gun to the back once we're finished. So we'll be doing something with that. But let's just stain this to start with. And I'm going to use the colour Woodwick and a brush. Just a minute, I'll just grab my door here. Amber's come to visit. Say hello, Amber. Hello. That's Amber in the background. I'll just let her know, sorry guys, Olive's in the crate in the bedroom. If you want to go visit Olive, Amber, you can do so. Remember last week, guys, if you were here last week on our live, you know that Olive was just going nuts for all of, going crazy, running around, barking at everything. And so I thought, no, not today, Olive, not today. So I've put her in a little crate with lots of treats in our bedroom and some water. So she's doing just fine. Everyone's saying hello, Amber. And Stacey's just asked, where is Olive tonight? Yes, that's where she is right now. So, all right, so I've mixed, I don't know if I talked you through this process, but I have, for those of you who've been watched several times before, you have probably seen me create a wash, a stain wash with Fusion mineral paint. It's a water-based acrylic paint, and I just mix it with a bit of water. You could do maybe 1 part paint to 10 parts water if you like. I don't know what ratio I've done right now. I just kind of eyeball it, and if you want it to be a bit darker, you can just add more paint. So I'm just putting that all around the frame, and that creates a bit of a stain for our frame. So showed you what we're going to do with this. I think I actually might have done a stain wash on this already, because it does look a little different than the back here, but maybe it was just a bit light. So we're just going to darken that up a bit. Well, Olive's being really quiet. I can't hear her barking, so she's probably enjoying her treats in there right now. So yeah. Hi Cassie, thanks so much for jumping on. Hi Donna. A lot of people just jumping on now, and that's great. We haven't started the stenciling part of our live yet. We're just getting some backgrounds done, and that's always important to learn as well, because you never know, sometimes you might learn something while we're creating the backgrounds for our signs. This is quite a rough surface, this frame, and if you've just joined and missed the explanation of this frame, I just picked it up at a thrift store, or op shop we call them here in Australia, and removed the canvas off the outside. It had some staples on the canvas. Sometimes they actually glue them to the frame, and those ones are not fun to be able to remove. So it is good when you can find some that just have staples and they don't have a bunch of glue all up the sides, because then you kind of got to sand it off with a electric sander to make it look great. Okay, so that's kind of darkening that timber, giving it a nice rustic feel. Hi Tina from Texas, amazing. Sandra's here from Ellenton, Florida. Lovely. Thank you, Donna. All right, so if you have seen out of the corner of my screen a part of a stencil that we'll be working on today. Let's see if we can see a little bit more of it in the shot. See if you can guess which one I'm using. And it's from the new summer collection. Did anyone order the big summer mega bundle? Now this is a bit wet, this stain, but it shouldn't affect it too much if I'm trying to hold the edges. Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming on and saying hello. Sometimes Facebook's a little bit slow to let people know in notifications, but you can always set an alarm for every weeknight at 7 p.m. There'll be someone here. I'm on every Wednesday night, so if you need a better way to know when we're going live, it's 7 p.m. CST, whatever that is in your time zone, on a Wednesday night. Yes, Dominica, you can see the truck there. There are lots of truck stencils, so I can't remember. I'm guessing there's only one in the latest summer bundle though, right? Okay, so you can see that we've got quite a lot of that stain wash left, and that'll be good for other projects if I want to use that later. But right now I'm finished with this brush. Yeah, I may need some other brushes. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to set that aside also, and we could work on this backboard. So we're going to be doing some fun colours on this. But I will need to just quickly grab another brush. Hold tight. A brush or two to create some fun on the background of this. So I am going to use the sea turtle. This is the coastal sea turtle right here, 10 by 10 inch stencil. And so that works perfectly with my board here, which I feel like is maybe 11 by 11 inches. And this is the other one we'll be working on for the other board. It's a strawberry patch, pick your own with the truck. And this is, yeah, so this is 12 inches. So I'd say my board here. And remember, coming in a little bit shorter than the actual board there, because it's going to fit inside perfectly in this. The inside of the frame would be 10 by 10, maybe the outside is 11 or 12. Okay, so we're going to create some kind of a background for our sea turtle on this one. And then we're going to do our truck on this one, which I've just painted that with raw silk. I am going to dry that a little bit. And we probably will need a couple of layers of paint. Because the, let me see if I can point that down. There we go. Because the paint, oops, yes, it's dry. It does look like, oh, it does cover pretty well. It might be okay just like that. Maybe we can add some white onto that. I might try a little experiment with that. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the colours I've picked for the background. I wanted to go sort of a coastal sea theme since it's a turtle. And I've got this colour, Renfrew Blue. This paint is so old, it's got one of the old Fusion logos on it. And sometimes they dry up on the inside, but this one sounds like it's still shaking okay. So I'm going to be using a little bit of that. And look at this bright azure colour. This is azure, and this is another Fusion colour. Here Nora says, where's Olive? It's pretty quiet there. Yeah. She's in the bedroom in her crate, correct. She's snacking on some treats and soaking in the sunshine. It's really quite a cool morning this morning, but the sun is streaming in the bedroom, so I've put her crate right there. She's enjoying herself. I don't know, what do you think about these two colours together? What do you think, Amber, about these two colours together?
Whoa, it's bright.
It's bright. I know, it's bright. And maybe I'll tone them out. I'm kind of thinking of I don't even know, a bit of a abstract something. And I could sort of add a plain blue in the middle or some white. This one in the middle with this teal, with all three. Right, why not? We'll see what happens. Oh no, okay, this one I didn't loosen. Okay, so we may not be using this colour. Sometimes I could slam it on its lid. Other times I'll just jiggle it with a knife around the lid. And you can hear that crack, that's the paint coming away from the edge. The other idea for your paints, if you tend to get the lid stuck, it's usually because there's paint around the edge of your lid or on the jar. So you can put some plastic down before you close the lid, and that helps to keep the jar open. I don't know about this. Let's see. Let's start with this. Renfrew Blue is the name of this one. And if you do use, if you don't have a Fusion retailer near you, you can use my code IRestoreStuff and save 10% at the Fusion link that I've got there for you. Yes, Nora, she will be happy with her treats. Okay, so I'm experimenting with you guys again. Here we go. This is Renfrew Blue. It's quite a sea green, ocean green. And let's just start with a bit of that down the bottom. And I'm just painting this as an MDF board. I'll move my raw silk white painted piece. You could have like a white background at the back of this. It might be helpful. But I'm just going to go ahead and might do a little bit of blending. We could need a couple of coats of this, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's looking good. I don't even mind that you can see a little bit through to the MDF. You can't even tell that it's, wood at the background there. Let's go ahead and try this azure colour. Thinking of white in the middle. I didn't really bring my blending brush, so to speak. Let's do some raw silk. this is wet from my wood staining project over there. So let's just see how this works. Oh, you know what else I didn't get is, just a second, some cardboard stock. We always need a couple of pieces of cardboard to offload for our stencils, and that will also help with making sure this is dry. Yeah, that's still very wet. I've got a drop cloth here on the table. Oh, MDF. So Robin's asking, what is MDF? It's a particle board. It's kind of pressed wood all pressed together. And a medium density fibre board, I think, is what it stands for. Wow, I just impressed myself that I remembered that, but I think that's what it is. Okay, I'm not going to blend just yet. I'm just putting the white, and it's going to have some little tan streaks in it because of the stain. It's a bit of a watery brush. I'm going to put this across here. And the idea is that I'll blend these two colours together in a minute. I do have a beautiful blending brush, but I'll see if I can just do it with the brushes that I've got here. And then we'll add our colour, as you are, with my final brush that I've got here. Almost looks a little bit beach-like, doesn't it? But it's not meant to be a scenery type thing. I just meant it to be a bit of a background effect. I've got a few little lumps in my paint, which is because, which you shouldn't really do, is be dipping your brush back in and out, because the little bits around the edge of the paint can sort of fall in there. Anyway, I'll wash that off the side. Now remember, our frame there is going to sit around the outside, so it doesn't really matter if I miss the outside edges, but we want to get as close as we can to those. Oh gosh, these little lumps and flakes. I need to strain my paint, that's what I need to do. But hey, it looks like we've got a bit of texture in there now, which is fine too. Okay, now I'm going to move down. I think that's got great coverage. I'm going to move down into the white section, so you will see it to start blending with the white now. We can see this little streak of brown in that raw silk colour. See if I can cover that up. Oh, we're still adding some more brown in there. Now I'm going to bring this down to the green. The Renfrew Blue, it's called. Looks more green to me than blue, but I've got a little bit of blending going on there. Bring that down further. I've just realised that I wanted to do white for my turtle, so that's not going to work, is it, if I'm painting? I need to add some more colour over that white. So changed my mind halfway through my project here, and we're going to be adding some more colour. But that's starting to blend nicely. Now make sure you're going right to either end of our project, because we don't want it to be starting with our brush partway through. Now I'm going to go down here again now. Brenda says, I'm not good at blending. Well, Brenda, I don't feel like I'm that great at blending either. I'm just giving it a go. And you could just practice this kind of technique on a piece of cardboard to just get you started. And okay, flowing that into the white. And again, we're going to move closer into that white area so that we can cover that up, because I want to do my turtle with a bright white stencil on the top. I wanted to cover up that white, but it does give it a nice glow in the middle, doesn't it? moving up into that other blue at the top. How's that looking? Oops, see how I mean if we start and stop before we get to the end, it'll add a little brush stroke there that you don't want. I think if I keep going, I'll be doing a bit too much. And now this is dry down here, so as it dries, it'll sort of change colour slightly. So let's have a look at what happens to that when it dries. Now, remember I've got this white, but now I've got green on it. I don't want to put that back into my white paint. Making sure we keep that separate. And we'll get those lids on here. And I think we're finished with that, but I just sort of wanted to dry it first to make sure. So I'll get my brushes out of the way so I don't hit the hairdryer on the brushes before I put them in the water, just to make sure we're all good. Another little mistake there. Okay. Yeah, Nora, it can just take a bit of practice, but also you've just got to have a go. And what might not look perfect to me, but to other people they might not see any imperfections. They think, oh, that looks great. And remember that this is just the background for our feature stencil, which is going to be the turtle. So I possibly could have blended this area right here a little better, but I think it'll be great for a background. So we've got that Renfrew blue down this bottom section, and it sort of gets into a blend in the middle, and then azure is the top colour up there if you're looking for those in the Fusion line. And just remember, you can use my code iRestoreStuff and get 10% off at the Fusion link that I've got right there in the description of the live, or in the pinned comment that's got all of your links there, as well as the stencils we're using today. All right, I think I'm happy with that little piece of artwork. Beautiful. And now I'll pop those brushes in the water, get them out of the way, and we'll be going on with our, in fact, let me just do the second coat on this board of our raw silk, so that, although I was thinking of actually doing white. Oh, you know what? Oh no, I did. I was thinking I hadn't saved my brush. I think there's enough experimenting from me today. Maybe I will just keep going with this. I was thinking white and do a little bit of splashy whites. No, I will. Let's just do that. So we've used raw silk, which is a creamy colour. I'll show you the difference. And then I'm thinking of using the casement, which is Fusion's brightest white. So you see the difference there in the bottles, but it's probably, yeah, their brightest white. Oh. There's microphone things dangling down here. I don't know how to fix that. There we go. And so it's a bright white compared to this. So I thought I would just use this part in the lid and use my brush to just add some just strokes across there, so that it's not perfectly white, it's got a little bit of the raw silk colour in there, and you can probably barely tell. I probably won't do this to the sides, but I'm just kind of creating a bit of a brushed look. Almost a dry brush, but I'm using the straight paint, so we'll put the paint part in the middle and then drag it out to either side. Do you see how I'm doing that? Another little experiment for your day. Pam, yeah, I was not sure about that azure colour either, but I think it worked out great with that little bit of a white tone in the middle. Kind of lent greatly to that. Okay. little bit of I do need that board. There we go. Okay, so it's not a real standout blend or anything. It's just kind of there. Maybe you can't see that in the light, but I'll hold that up a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. You might be able to see the differences, and as it dries, and we will do in just a minute, we're going to be doing our truck stencil, this one, on this board. Okay, so this is a square, 11 by 11, did I say? I think that's correct. Or maybe it's 12 by 12. So there you go, that's that one there. So we've just got sort of a rough raw silk and casement. All right, I do love those colours. I think that's working great. Now, I don't know which should be the bottom and which should be the top, but we're just going to go this way. And then instead of doing a plain background, so this is just an idea for some of your other stencils that you might like to do. Instead of doing a plain white background and then putting a coloured stencil on top, I'm going to do a coloured background, and then my stencil becomes a bit like a silhouette type of thing on the background. And then that'll sit nicely in our frame. So we could have it going swimming whichever way we like. Let's let it swim up this way. If you'd like to, you could add some painter's tape to your sides to make sure it's firmly in place. And I'm just making sure there's my frame. So I will see the painter's tape in there. So I'm just going to use a couple of tiny bits. And what I'll do is, instead of putting them directly onto the paint, I'm going to rub them onto my drop cloth or any kind of fabric. You could even do it on your apron, and then just add that to one of the sides, and that adds a little bit of fluff onto the tape, so it's not as sticky as it would be if you just went straight from the tape dispenser to the paint. Okay, I will use the brighter white, I think, for this. And I did use, I'll use one of my stencil brushes. I'll use the large one since it's a nice large stencil. And this is a 7/8 inch stencil brush. So with all of our stencils, oops, just trying to get that a bit closer. With stenciling, we need to the key is less paint on your brush. So I grab a big bit of paint out of the jar and then I'll wipe that on the side, or I could wipe it onto my cardboard right here and then just work that into the bristles. But we want to have hardly anything on the brush, so it's hard for you to see white on white there, but you'll just be able to practice a little bit, and then until you get the hang of how much paint you need on your brush. So I'll start over here with these legs and swish them around a bit. I do feel like I've even got lots on the paintbrush. As I do that, I can feel it's lots on there. Okay, then I can swirl with a little bit more confidence. Remove a little bit of paint from there. No, the paint brushes that I was using earlier are Klingon brushes, which I think I had an Amazon link to them as well. If you do need that, let me know. My affiliate link for that one. But there could be some retailers near you too. If you looked up Klingon, they might show you where where those brushes are. They're good for furniture painting. They're a really nice synthetic bristle brush. A little bit of stripes going on there, and it's probably where I had some brush strokes showing because the paint was a little bit thick down in those areas, but that's okay. And here we go, we've got a beautiful sea turtle silhouette, white silhouette, if that's such a thing. And just be careful again, because the edges can be a little bit close to where your brush might come across, and so we don't want any brushing going off to the sides. Hopefully I don't have any paint bleeding under my stencil here, because I feel like I had a little bit too much on the brush, maybe here and here, but we'll see how that looks. Peel that back up. And there we go. Yeah, a little bit around the edges I can tell, but no one else will be able to tell, right? And there is our first little project finished. And that one is called Sea Turtles. And we have done that using an upcycled frame, which was a canvas just that I picked up at a thrift store, and I removed the canvas from the frame and then cut some really thin wood. You can use thin ply also for this. And what I'll do now is I'll just use a staple gun to staple this down on my frame. And I've got my frame that we stained earlier using Fusion's Woodwick as the stain. And so there we've got this nice fun rustic coastal. There you go. So that's our first one. All right, so now we're going to go on with our strawberry pickup truck. Oh, that's right. And I remember thinking this is a great one because you could use that truck for a number of different things. In fact, you could put transfers on. Stuck. Because it's blank on the back of the truck and the strawberries come separately, you could actually just fill it with flowers, like flower transfers, or use some other stencils to fill the back of your truck with other things. So I love that some of these stencils are quite versatile to be able to use for other things. Now, here's our strawberry. It's layered. It comes in 2 parts. So you can just add that to the back of your truck, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So we would do red for the base, and then dark black or green for the leaves and seeds and so on. Now, I wanted to do something fun with the truck today. Let's see how this works out. I wanted to, and we can probably use the same tape that we used here. Just reuse that. I wanted to use a fun colour. So a lot of pickup trucks, I don't know, you would see red ones a lot, blue ones maybe, but I thought we'd use some of this, maybe this Renfrew blue, and then add some of this azure. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll give it a go. We'll try something. We'll try some things. So for our truck, we want to probably use a brush that's a little bit larger, but we do have these black tyres here. I think I did brought some black. I did forget green again, because I was thinking the strawberries need those green stems, leaves. Forgot to do that last time too. And we'll probably do the words in black also. So what I want to do is just add a bit of this cardboard as a buffer to where I have to... I'm thinking of a rusty old car, so it could have some patches of different colours. So I'm going to start with this. There she is. Oh, thank you, Nora. That's lovely. Okay, so I'm going to use this for the truck, and it's this Renfrew that we used before. And again, like I said, I'm going to use this to just cover up, although we are going to do those tyres in black, so it probably doesn't matter too much if I get the green on there, and then when we go the other way and do the black for the tyres, I'll use the cardboard to cover up my green. And because we're doing this on a white background, you can see it looks slightly, it's less dark. And with this, the back of the truck has these stripes going along it, so we've just got to be careful not to go round and round with those because some of them are quite thin. So I'm just going gently and carefully along the lines of the stripes with a bit of a stippling motion and a bit of a dragging motion. So, and again, we've got some more lines going across here. We'll jump in there, grab some paint, get that big blob off onto the board. And we do have quite a big section in the centre here that we could use a bit more on our brush for that. Now we can start to go round, and we've got a little bit right here with words that we don't want to get our brush onto. So we can stencil with a bit more confidence when we've got a piece of cardboard or a cardstock there, just to buffer that and not get paint on our words. This is the colour Renfrew Blue. It's a lovely sea green. And yeah, we'll see. We might add a few little bits and pieces to this. I was thinking I should probably have gotten like a rust colour, because the idea was like a truck that's been left to go rusty. There we go. And maybe it would be fun to use some artist brushes to do some of those little rusty tricks on there. Okay, I'm going to grab all that big blob and put that in the centre. And you may want to do a couple of coats of this colour because we've got a lot of lines happening here. Okay, so when you see a lot of the lines, as in your brush strokes, it may be good to just go over that with a second coat. So this is looking a little bit dry over here, so I was going to go over that with a second coat, but let me just hit that with the hairdryer properly. Yes, Sandra, you like that idea? Yeah, you could use and cut your transfer straight and put that on the back of the truck. So yeah, you definitely can do that. Okay, going over here now with a second coat of this Renfrew. And again, this is quite thick because it's very old paint, but you can add a touch of water to your fusion paint if it starts to dry out in your bottle. And usually the only reason it would start to dry out is because you've got I've only got this little bit in the bottom of my jar. And so when you've got a lot of air in it, it's obviously going to use that air and start to dry out. Let's go into this centre bit again. Going out to the sides. And it's given it a lot deeper colour now that we've got that second coat on there, don't you think? Hi Kathleen, I'm so glad you could catch the live as well. Glad you're here. Now going over this bit here. Just doing a second coat with Renfrew Blue And these fusion colours do come in small sample tester sizes. They're like 37 mils of paint, and they are great for stencil projects, and your little brush fits perfectly in those bottles. But if you're doing a lot of stencils, you may want to get a bit more. Even their metallic colours, they're beautiful metallic colours. They come in tester size, smaller sizes, and they are great. Actually, a bit of copper might make it look like rust on this truck, wouldn't it? Should have thought to bring those ones out. I've got them all in there, but it would take me too long to go find everything. Okay, so here is our green truck. Verdigris is the word I'm thinking of. That, you know, that rust that kind of makes it look, or copper, when copper goes a bit greenish blue. I need to clean the lids of my pots. I do. Okay, my other thing here. Let's do the black on the words, and then we'll come back to this green, and we might add a bit of zhuzh. A bit of zhuzh? Is that the right word? Oh, we can't forget our strawberries. So we will just go, let's get our black words on. And I'll just use a 5/8 inch for that. Got my black on my brush, wipe it on here, and then we're going to offload that as much as we can and go over just in a swirly motion. Now the words I find are quite quick to do, a little bit quicker than the truck. See how we can just go swirl, 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 and that is only because we've got hardly anything on the brush until I see it start to run out here. Grab a little bit more. And the way you can just make sure that you don't have too much on your brush is just practice on a piece of cardboard until you've got just the right amount, so you know you're not going to be having too much and it bleed under, and it causes these really fuzzy edges, and it's a bit trickier to get that off. It's a lot easier to just do a second coat. If your coat's too thin, you can go over with a second coat. Okay, let's do these tires. Now here's where it gets tricky, and I'm going to just use my cardstock to make sure I don't get that on the green. I can go all around there, but when I get close to the green on the tire, I need to just wriggle my cardboard around. Azure, yes, correct. Memory, that is correct. So azure, A-Z-U-A-Z-U-R-E. There we go, one tire done. Then we've got our open daily wording down the bottom. And that's done. See if we've got enough black left. And we can do a bunch down here. Need a little bit more. Oop. Move it around. Okay, so that's all the black areas. And now when we will have to do our strawberries last, because obviously I've got to take this off. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like something's dripped on there. We'll have a look at that on our truck. So let's have a look at some of these other colours. I don't know, I just wanted to add a bit of extra something. Must have been something on the bottom of my cardboard maybe that dripped onto there. Okay. I've got this azure colour again. Not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I feel like maybe I need a different brush. Either one of the artist brushes. So these are the detail brushes that Essential Stencil also has. And you can use my code, remember. I restore stuff for any of these. Like the detail brushes come in 5 different sizes. A little bit thicker, some with a little bit more pointy. So you could do something like that, or we've got our also these domed soft bristle brushes, which come in a set of 4. And so there's a few of these 4 different sizes right here. And they're so soft. So I'm wondering if one of these could just do something like add a bit of colour to somewhere. I don't know. Don't even know what I'm doing. Just adding a little bit of artistry. I'm not even an artist. But just experiment. Have some fun with your colours and your stencils. Been fun using these two colours on the 2 completely different projects. So and if this doesn't work, it's just paint, and I can just easily paint over the top of it. A little bit of this on the roof. Could even just use it as a little bit of a shadow coming out over the edges. I don't know if this is working, you guys. But we're having fun, aren't we? You're having fun watching me do it, so that if I make a mistake, you know what not to do. That's the idea. There we go. There we go. Let's just see. You like that, Robin? It could be great. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for saying hello. Who's asking? Maggie's asking if it's a 12 by 12 stencil. It's actually a 12 by 10. We've got this gap here. The board I've got is a 12 by 12. So there's that. All right. Let's have a look. I think we need to go on with our strawberries. See if I can lift my stencil up. And there we go. Oh yeah, it doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit too much here. Could feather that out. Oh, I've just made more. I think I've made more of a mess. Oh, and more. Well, we could just fix that up later. Had some extra on the other side of the brush by the looks of it. Anyway, it looks like a rustic old truck. Let's go on with our strawberries, and we're going to add those here. So this bright red, it's going to look great against all these. And we will maybe use the colour cranberry, which is a darker red. closer. So yeah, we've got some kind of fun stripes going on there. We'll go on with this. Got a large, what's that, 3/4 inch. I think the 5/8 really is a perfect brush, isn't it? We might use a different cardboard for our red. And I might have to use some more tape to tape this, because we want it down sitting on the truck bed. We don't want a gap in between there, so I'll get it right down. Okay. That'll help shift it. And then strawberries here. And we're using the colour cranberry. It's a nice deep red. It's a great one to use for your patriotic signs too, because it's that nice old flag kind of red. Vintage red, I like to call it. And then we go on here, and I will have to use my cardboard again just to make sure that, because that's kind of a thin edge there. I want to make sure I don't get it on there. So against the green and the blues there, that red is really going to stand out nicely. A little wriggle, and we might dry that and give it a second coat so it can kind of have a bit of a thicker take. Kimberly just used cranberry for the first time this past weekend on grad photo booth props. I'm making the nephew's upcoming party. How amazing. Oh boy, lots of grad parties going on, I'm sure. Is anyone else decorating for graduation parties? Or are you decorating for 4th of July? Let us know. Yes, Danielle, I think so too. Everybody likes the 5/8 inch brushes. They're just perfect size for stencils, I think. But the larger brushes are great for the really large stencils. So if you do use quite a few large stencils, they're great too. Okay, again, down here, just adding my cardboard to the bottom so that we don't get that. And you can see how much deeper that colour goes once we've added that second coat. And now we can use our second coat of our second layer. So if you're not used to doing layered stencils, or if you're worried about doing them, they are pretty, these kind of ones give you a bit of a practice at doing the lots more layers, the other layered stencils. Okay, so we've got some room there. We've got to make sure we're facing the same way. So you line up your leaves. So see this leaf here, and that will line up with this leaf in the middle. And the other leaves going around the outside. So we just line those up like so. And I am going to quickly grab that green paint that I was talking about. Oh, might have to be bayberry. Bayberry is a nice dark-ish green. It's kind of got a vintage green. It probably doesn't go as nicely with the truck, but we'll see. That's a good tip there from Brenda. Just a reminder for people using a dryer, don't use high heat, don't get too close to the stencil because it'll warp your stencil. I haven't had that issue, but maybe you have, Brenda. Yeah, that's good good tip. I usually use mine, well, I do use a hot setting, but I don't use, I usually use just the low heat. And maybe I don't put it too close. But the other issue you might have with going directly, especially on your background boards, if you have too much high heat directly on the boards, it can also crackle your paint, and if you don't want that look, then it's not good. But if you do like a crackled look, sometimes you might get that if you give high heat. Okay, another brush. We'll use a smaller one this time, and this is the colour Bayberry. I'm just doing the leaves in this colour. If it doesn't look great, I might mix a little bit of the dark or black with that. But here we go. Again, we need probably a bit of cardboard to just go over that end there, making sure that we're not getting on the truck. It's a large leaf in the middle. And we'll be doing the black dots for the strawberry seeds. I think I'll do them, may do them in black. Actually, if I just do them green to start with, it might even be enough. Now this one's a little bit close to that side. Let me just do this green and the strawberry seeds. I think they need to be black. I'll just see what it looks like. Okay, have a look. Yeah, we'll probably go over with the strawberry seeds with the black. And the green, I'm not liking the green. Maybe I'll just use a little bit of black to darken those leaves up. It's got a green underneath base. I just don't like the way it looks on top of the... I might just even use this same brush. Grab some black. So it's, see how it's blending and making a greyish black, a dark colour, but it's got green tones in it. Maybe that will work. Got to use our board again. Kelly, so cute, can't wait to get your stencils. Oh, that's great. Did you order a bundle? Let us know. Did you order the big mega bundle? Who ordered that? Or the coastal bundle? Or we did something coastal today. I don't know if you missed our turtle earlier, but it's down here. You can just see the edge of it. The turtle down there. So we'll do those seeds, make them a little bit more black, and I think I'm going to go over that green, over those green leaves. Oh dear, I got my brush on the truck. That's why we use this cardboard to kind of buffer those edges. And then I think last week it was, I used a darker green or some kind of other green to add some texture to the leaves, or just add like the veins in the leaves. So I'll see if I made too much of an error over here, and I can use one of my nice little tiny detail brushes. See, I think that's a bit better. even though they sort of look black, I do have a little bit of green in there, and I do have a bit of a boo-boo over here, which may wipe out or it may sand out. It's probably a little late now. But I could just touch that up with a tiny detail brush. So where's our little detail brushes? These ones right here. So when you make a little mistake like that, we can grab a brush, and I've got that colour. Well, it needs to be that. What's the background here? It's sort of raw silk, or it's also the casement. So I did both. So we're just going to touch that up. Just wet that in the paint a little bit. Roll it around on your cardboard. And just moving that black out of the way. Did I accidentally went outside the lines? That's what I did. And the black kind of stands out underneath white, so we need to kind of just do a couple of coats, but I think we're good with that. Probably no one can tell from a distance. And then maybe just a teensy touch of this Renfrew colour. And there it is. Just touching up. So this is what these finer detail brushes are great for. And I could even, if I was not happy with some of those, you know, those light blue that I went over here with, I could just go over that with the original colour of this Renfrew to kind of hide that a bit if I don't want it too noticeable. Just going over that with some extra little stripes. Anyway, you've got the idea. And that, I think, is we need to pick some winners for our live. So I'll finish up there. Oh, you're so welcome, Tracy. Thanks for your lovely words. I hope you all enjoyed that live. We'll just have a look now to see if we've got some winners on our live, and I'll clean up my mess, and we'll show you both of the projects that we've been working on today. There was our strawberry sign, strawberry truck, and then we did our turtle, a coastal turtle. Thank you for your stars and for sending all the love. Okay, so we haven't stapled that to the back there, but that's the idea. We'll be doing that. And we've got that gorgeous background that I showed you how to do. So if you missed the first part of our live, catch that. And thank you, Melinda. Yes, you do need to get those smaller brushes. Here we go. Here's our... you can use my code, don't forget, I Restore Stuff, and save 10% at Essential Stencil. And if you are getting the Stencil of the Month Club anytime too, you can use that same code and save there. They're both great. Thank you. We've got Denise is a winner today, and I've got to hit the button. Brenda and Cassie. So Denise, Brenda and Cassie, you're our winners today for our live giveaway. You have won yourselves $20 gift cards for Essential Stencil, and they will send those to you if you just email them, let them know you were a winner on Sharon's live tonight, Wednesday night. And I'll see you again next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. CST, for another fun live DIY project. I wonder what I will be working on next. We'll see you then. I've just got to walk around the camera to go turn it off. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.